depth of my soul. Here lies the source of strength. So friends, we are so honored and filled with joy to have with us today Vivek Virani and Friends and with Dr. Vivek Virani. So without further ado, we will have this in a 4-part series is spirituality across diverse traditions. So let us begin.
यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मनेवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूत् विजानत तत्र को मोहः को शोकः एकत्वम् अनुपश्यत
Source of strength, where divine and human meet. Here quiet your mind, quiet, quiet.
Namaste, everyone. We're so honored to be with you all today in this second event in our ongoing series on spirituality in music. And I'm very excited about today's event because today's event is a celebration of the legacy of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa as a guide, an exemplar of the spirit of pluralism of religious practice. Spiritual pluralism, understanding this amazing truth that God is infinite and therefore the pathways to God are also infinite. In this event, as in the other events we're doing in this series, the one word that is shared in all of the event titles is the word experience. Last time, a few months ago, we had an event centered on bhakti, which featured music from South Asian traditions and especially traditions connected with Hinduism, in which we experience God in the spirit of love. That word experience is very important because the philosophy that we understand from our Guru Ramakrishna is one of understanding divinity through personal experience, through inner experience, emotional experience, and overwhelming mystical experience. Sri Ramakrishna has put this so beautifully in an example he gives, where he says it's one thing to hear of God and another thing to see God, still another to talk to God. You can hear about milk, you can see milk, and you can taste milk. Hearing about milk probably won't do much for you, but seeing it will bring you happiness, and actually drinking it will bring nourishment and strength. Similarly, only when we see God ourselves do we attain lasting peace of mind, and only when we converse with God, interact with God, do we attain bliss and strength. Of course, this ideal of Sri Ramakrishna is very difficult for most of us to attain. Certainly something that many of us don't expect in this lifetime we may be able to touch. However, one of the beautiful things about music is, even for those of us who are not at that state, it enables a chance to temporarily taste that flavor that Sri Ramakrishna speaks of, to taste that milk, to attain that ananda or bliss, and to feel the strength that comes with it. And so, we invite all of you today to join us in a session that will be centered not about thinking about divinity in the way that different traditions do, not on philosophizing about divinity in the way that traditions do, but in experiencing divinity in the way that different traditions, religions, and communities do, through shared music, through singing, through listening, through breathing. And although we probably won't get up and dance today, that's often a very important part of this experience. We're very honored today. We're joined by Dr. Julia David Coelho, who, apart from being a scholar and performer of early music, is one of the musical leaders at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Denton, and opened our session today with a prayer by one of the leaders of Unitarian community in Czechoslovakia. Thank you so much for being with us today. Did you want to say any words about the opening piece?
Norbert Čapek. Good morning, everyone. He's from the Czechoslovakia Unitarian Universalist Church. He actually founded that in his home country and was largely influential to the modern Unitarian Universalist Church that is founded in the 7 principles of the UU Church in these days. He's also the founder of the Flower Communion, which is celebrated around Mother's Day, so end of May, oftentimes, and not just became celebrated in Czechoslovakia, but is also celebrated in all the UU churches And it is essentially a ceremony in which everyone brings a flower, and those flowers get blessed, and you're supposed to choose a different flower than the one that you have initially brought in. And I like how in this text he eventually mentions the flower of God, and we're divine in human meat. There is your refuge. So that was Norbert Čapek for you, a very influential person, and following those UU principles of respecting the interdependent web of our existence as we are in here today. Thank you.
This principle of interconnectedness will permeate today's session. Sri Ramakrishna gives the beautiful example. He says very, very strongly that all those who seek God earnestly, whether they're Vaishnavas, Shaktos, Christians, Muslims, will reach God, but that a different prescription may be needed for different people. And he gives this beautiful example of a mother who gives one food to one child and another food to another child. And it's not because the mother has a different love for any child, but because she knows exactly what is needed. And you know, this is a stage that we're in where one of our children is still 1 year old and eating whatever she can fit into her mouth that's soft. The other child is eating anything that resembles real food but is covered in ketchup. And as they grow, they will need different things for their nourishment. The Divine Mother also has let different traditions and paths flourish so that each of us can find what we need to touch divinity. The word we use in English to describe this personal experience of divinity in any tradition is mysticism, a word that refers to traditions that understand God not primarily through prayer or study, but through personal experience. And the first, the next song that we'll share with you is from the Kabbalah, the mystical tradition of Judaism, in which we will notice so many resonances with the philosophy of Vedanta. The notion of divinity or God in Kabbalah is Ein Sof, the no thing that is without end, something that is has a lot of resonance with our idea of Nirguna Brahma, that divinity that is eternal and has no qualities. A common utterance in Kabbalah, in the text of the Zohar, the foundational Kabbalah text, is that God fills and surrounds all of worlds, an utterance that we recognize many times in the Upanishads and Vedanta as well. But we won't be sharing texts from Kabbalah, we'll be sharing a song of the heart in which God is understood as the lover that resides within our own soul, the companion of our soul, the Yedid Nefesh. This is a song by a 17th century poet, Rabbi Azikri, and we'll be looking at our screens more than usual today because, of course, many of these are languages that we do not speak ourselves, but we hope you will enjoy the richness of the poetry, and we hope that you'll sing along with us, maybe not on the lyrics, but at the end when we allow the soul to cry out with the syllable lai, 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 something that we can all sing together. Yedid nefesh al-Rahman mishol chadecha eretzonecha yachutz avecha k'mo ידידותיך מנופצו חובה אדוני זיו העולם נפשי חולה אהבתך אנא אלה בך בחרות לנו זיווך אז תתחזק ותתחפש והייתה לה שמחת עולם ותיגר מהונה ידך וחוסנה על נחומה כי זה כמה ניסו ניסחתי לראות נרת וזהה אנא אלה וכוסה נא ותתעלה יגעלנה ופה תביאי עלה אסוכה שלומך תאיר מכבודך נגילה משמחה מההו קיבלנו וכוננו כמעולם יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי יאללה לי יאללה לי יאללה לי One of the great mystics of the Christian tradition, someone we really love and celebrate, not only as spiritual aspirants, but as musicians, because she's also one of the first written composers in the Western classical music tradition, is the Saint Hildegard of Bingen. And Julia will be sharing with us a little bit about Hildegard, and a wonderful piece that expresses one of the beautiful things about the mystics, The, the kind of love that comes with mystical realization allows one to see God in all things, not just in churches or in places of worship, but in other people, in ourselves, and in all of nature. And there's an echo of this in Sanskrit philosophy, in a beautiful text called the Avaduta Gita, the Song of the Mystic, in which the Avaduta explains how he experiences divinity and the lessons of divinity in every aspect of nature, just as the sun shares its light with all on the planet. Being divine or understanding divinity is about sharing our light with all around us, just as the earth bears the burden of all who walk upon it without complaining. Being a spiritual seeker is about taking the burdens of those less fortunate. So similarly, this song by Hildegard expresses the love of Christ and the Mother in nature as well as in our hearts.
First time that I heard about Hildegard, that I studied her works, was actually during my philosophy degree. So I learned about her as a philosopher before I learned about her as a musician. And then finding out that she was so much more than philosopher, musician, mystic. She was also a healer. She wrote texts on medicine. She was the first female composer during her lifetime in the Western world to have her work, her entire work copied while she was still alive. However, it was only in 2012 when the Catholic Church finally recognized her as a saint. So we're talking from the 12th century to the 21st century. And this text that I have selected for you today on Viridissima Virga starts with a very clever double meaning. Viridissima Virga means branches, but Virga also stands for virgin, so Virgin Mary. So this is one of the Marian songs that she wrote. She wrote a lot of Marian antiphons, songs, psalms, and this is one of them. She wrote a lot of poetry, so this is also from her own authorship, both music and text from the Benedictine tradition. O Viridissima Virga.
There are so many incredible poets and saints who have experienced this divinity and shared in their own language what it did to them. One of the great saints of our tradition in South Asia was the Punjabi Sufi saint Baba Bulleh Shah, who his story is very special. I mean, in an era just before, a few generations before Sri Ramakrishna, he was one of the teachers who understood that divinity must be sought in a space that transcends religion. And his poetry in Punjabi says so many beautiful things, like you can go to Makkah, you can do namaz as many times as you want, you can go bathe in the Ganga as many times as you want, but until that sense of I-ness, that ahankar, that ego resides within you, you will not meet what you are looking for. And there's a very special story of Baba Bulleh Shah about learning to overcome this sense of I, this sense of ego. A story about Baba Bulleh Shah and his teacher, his guru, his peer, Shah Inayat. There's some aspects of the relationship between Baba Bulleh Shah and Shah Inayat that I think have a beautiful resonance of the relationship between Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna. Baba Bulleh Shah loved his guru so much, but there was this little social tension because he was from a very high social class, Baba Bulleh Shah. He was a Sayyid, which is considered a descendant of the Prophet, almost like a Muslim Brahman. You can think of it in those terms. And his teacher, Shah Inayat, was from a very low caste. And of course, even though Islam doesn't accept the caste system in the South Asian social tradition, it still becomes part of how people are treated. And there was this tension between them a little bit because of this. One day, Shah Inayat was sitting, and his student, his beloved student, Bulleh Shah, came to visit. And he knocked on the door, and his teacher said, "Who is there?" And Bulleh Shah said two things that were unforgivable. He said, "Main, it's me, Sayyid Bulleh. It's me, Sayyid Bulleh." And that I-ness and that sense of pride in his social station were unforgivable. And so, from that day on, his teacher refused to speak to him for days, for months. And Bulleh's heart was broken because he loved his teacher, he loved being with him, hearing his voice. And so he started to think of ways he could have his teacher even not just speak to him, but at least look at him again, because Shah Inayat refused to even look at him for this sin of ego. He knew his teacher loved, more than anything else, the beauty of song and dance in its most complicated and in its simplest form. So even when there were folk musicians and folk dancers in the streets, he loved to watch them and listen to them. And so Bulleh Shah joined a troupe of folk musicians. He wore colorful clothes, and in something that would be considered a great social faux pas, this person of elevated status, a Sayyid, he began to dance in the streets in colorful clothes. And as the dance troupe one day passed his teacher's house, his teacher came and looked, and his heart filled that, "You've looked at me once again, O Pir." And his teacher said, "Bulleh, is that you?" And he said, "There is no Bulleh. There is only Bulleh, jo bhool gaya, the one who lost his way. That's the only one who's there. And now, like a parrot in many colors, who flew away, you have caught me again and brought me back into your nest." So there's a poem by Bulleh Shah that celebrates this beautiful incident. Tere ishq ne nachaya. Oh beloved, your love, see what it has done to me. It has made me dance. As musicians, we love this song because it uses the syllables of dance. Karke thaiya, thaiya, thaiya. It says, your love has made me dance. Thaiya, thaiya, thaiya. दिल विच तार इश्क दी वजदी नाले वजदी कंजरे बुले नच के यार मना लेना भावे लोग कहे भेरी कंजरी तेरे इश्क नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया चेती जीवित विवानता मैं मर गया तेरे इश्क तेरे इश्क ने डेरे मेरे तन विच कीटा तेरे इश्क ने डेरा मेरे तन विच कीटा तेरे इश्क ने डेरा मेरे तन विच कीटा भर के जहर पियाला में ता आपे पीता भर के जहर पियाला में ता आप पीता जड़े भोरी वे तभी बनता मैं मर गया जड़े भोरी वे तभी बनता मैं मर गया तेरे इश्क नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके
थैया थैया
डोला चुप गया भी सूरज बाहर गई लाली में सदके होवा देवे बुरजे वे काली पीरा मैं भूल गया तेरे नाल न गया पीरा मैं भूल गया तेरे नाल न गया तेरे इश्क नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया भुल्ला भुल्ला पीर कलो दिल विच गैर आई
बुल्ला बुल्ला पीर कलो दिल विच गैर आई
केड़ा रंग बनावा यारो जिस विच हो मेरे साई
केड़ा रंग बनावा यारो जिस विच हो मेरे साई
यार मनाता जग विच रहसा जीव मूलन काई
मेरा यार मनेता जग विच रहसा जीवन मूलन काई
दर मुर्शद जाके बोले दर मुर्शद जाके बोले दिते दुहाई तेरा, इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया,
इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया।
ओ दा रब दी नुसदा रब दी सौ, जिनु यार मनाओ दो चज होवे, जिनु यार मनाओ दा चज होवे। उन लोड़ की विरदा पकीतियां दी,
उन लोड़ की विरदी पकीतियां दी,
नहीं नमिया नमाज दा कमिये थे,
नहीं नमिया नमाज दे कमिये ते,
चनावी इबादत बन जांदा,
रचनावी इबादत बन जाला,
नचने दा चिनु चज होवे, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया नचाया, इश्क ने नचाया नचाया, इश्क ने नचाया नचाया, इश्क ने
नचाया नचाया।
ऐसी इश्क दी जंगी विच मोर बुलैना, ऐसी इश्क दी जंगी विच मोर बुलैना, सानू किबला दा काबा यार दिसेना, सानू किबला तो काबा सोना यार दिसेना, सानू घायल करके फिर खबर न लिया, सानू घायल करके फिर खबर न लिया, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया तेरा, तेरे
इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया।
बुले शानू ने चलो, बुले शानू ने चलो, इनायत बूहे बोले शानू ने चलो ने चलो, 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 बुले शानू ने चलो, इनायत बूहे जिदे इश्क ने पिलाही मैनू, सावत सूहे जामे बारी में अड्डी मिल पाया है भैया, मारे मारी में अड्डी मिल पाया है भैया, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया, थैया थैया करके थैया थैया थैया, थैया 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 करके थैया थैया थैया, थैया थैया करके थैया थैया थैया, थैया 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 करके थैया 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 करके थैया 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 करके थैया थैया थैया, थैया करके थैया थैया थैया, थैया 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 करके थनना 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 थैया थैया थनना 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 थैया थैया थनना 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 थैया थनना 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 थैया थनना थनना, तेरे इश्क ने नचाया करके थैया थैया। Of course, many of us, when we think about dancing as a spiritual act, one of the first places our mind is drawn is to the traditions of the Sufis, for whom dancing is a part of a broader worship ceremony that actually involves chant, singing, drumming, and most importantly, listening. The name of the ritual is Sema, which actually means listening or audition. And we're going to share some Sufi musical and philosophical traditions that might be less familiar to some of you. We hope you'll not only enjoy the experience, but take part as much as you can. One of the great Sufi teachers, Hazrat Inayat Khan, directly compares the philosophy of Sufism to the philosophy of Vedanta, saying that while Vedanta speaks of Nada Brahma, the sound that is God, Sufis call that same sound Saut-e-Sarmad, the sound that intoxicates man. When the Quran, the Bible, the Torah says be and it became, that became from sound before this world was. All was sound. God was sound. We are made of sound, and that is why we like music so much, because it is our original element. Although it has been dimmed through the process of manifestation, our thoughts, our minds are made out of sound. Hazrat Inayat Khan was not only an incredible teacher, but an incredible musician. One of the first, actually, Indian classical musicians to come to the United States. And he taught why, in his tradition, the Chishti tradition, music was so important in beautiful terms. We know of the teaching of Maya, of Neti Neti in Vedanta, that all we know in this world is false, Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satya. And beautifully Hazrat Inayat Khan says this great teaching, once we learn it, it can have a certain effect on our emotions. And the Chishti order uses music to warm the heart. Because when a person has understood this truth, that the world is false, that every being is untrue, this wisdom can bring with it a kind of coldness of the heart. So to stop this coldness, the Chishtis use music in their worship. The vibrations of the sound produce warmth in the heart. It's such a beautiful message. So the music we're going to share with you is from a tradition of Anatolia, of Turkey, the Cerahi tradition. I was very fortunate to experience this tradition first in Istanbul. When I happened to visit Istanbul, someone told me you have to visit the Cerahi Masjid, the Cerahi Dargah that is near Istanbul. And I went there. There is a tourist entrance where you can go if you just want to hear the music, but I went through the main entrance and participated in the Sema worship, which involves not only singing and chanting, but it's a full body experience. So all the dervishes sit together on their knees, shoulder to shoulder, and sway along with the chanting. And as we sway, we're not only listening, but producing the percussion, the rhythm of the chant, which follows a very easy to remember rhythm. La ilaha illallah. So this is produced with the breath. And the way it's produced, it's actually very harsh. So when you're doing it as a practice, this practice we call dhikr or zikr, remembrance, it takes over your entire body. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. So if you can imagine being shoulder to shoulder in a group of devotees, swaying in this rhythm, side to side, not for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And over time, the sound, the rhythm escalates in volume and in tempo, and everyone stands up and links arms and begins what's called devran, or rotation. So step after step with the rhythm, stepping on the beat. La ilaha illallah. As the drums play, as the singers sing. It's an incredibly powerful experience. It takes over your consciousness. I was very fortunate when I came home, I was longing to understand this experience better. At the time I was living in Los Angeles, and there were a community of Cerahi Sufis in Long Beach who very kindly welcomed me, even though, they knew I was not a follower of Islam. They said, this is like our tradition in Vedanta, this is a tradition that is beyond religion. You can pray with us, you can sing with us, you can breathe with us. And they welcomed me every week to sing with them and to pray with them. So I'll share one of the songs or a few of the songs from their tradition now. I hope you'll join me in the percussion part. Don't feel, if you're not accustomed to it, of course, I don't recommend that you try to breathe with the full force. But if you breathe gently with this rhythm, you'll find the drum is also producing the same rhythm. And when you listen even to recordings of the songs, ilahi they're called, from this tradition, this breath of the dervishes is even in the recordings because it's such an important part of the sonic experience of this tradition. These are songs about divine unity. One is by a 13th century Turkish poet, Yunus Emre, another by a 17th century Jirahi poet. We're trying to make sure we're okay on time here. How are we on time? 12:30 we should finish? Okay. You both.
So the next two pieces are related to the Iberian Peninsula, where I come from. I come from Portugal, but the second one is Sephardi Jewish from the folk tradition. So obviously makes sense that the order of this concert has this piece preceding these two pieces from the Iberian Peninsula, because the second one has obviously connections being a Sephardi piece, not just with the Iberian Peninsula, but also with Turkey, where a lot of Sephardic Jewish people had to leave in the 16th century once the Iberian Inquisition took place and forced people to either convert, which is the case of my ancestors. Actually, my last name is a new Christian name, but I still keep the Sephardic Jewish last name, David. So there was just a way in the 16th century to kind of like pretend, until eventually it took place fully changing religions. But a lot of them immigrated to Middle East, including places such as Turkey, and that's why we have a lot of different variations of the same piece. This is why we have Sila Mar era di leche, but could also be with the alternative title En la mar hay una torre, or also the other third alternative title, La Sirena, which means the mermaid. So notice how both pieces, they have both the Iberian piece, the first one, La mia hermana Fremosa, and Sila Mar era di leche, they all have in common the topic of the sea. That is because in the Iberian Peninsula, we have a very strong connection with it. So the sea is both a source of life, also a source of death. It gives a lot as it also takes it away. So we do have a very strong approach, a very sacred approach to the sea. In the first piece, which is set to a 13th century poetry by Martin Quadax, set to my music, it essentially what we call a cantiga de amigo, which is a type of love song from a female perspective. But it's a very specific cantiga de amigo. It's called Barcarola, which is a cantiga specifically about the sea, in which the female protagonist talks to the sea as her friend, as her confidant, but also as this divine element that can advise, that can listen to, that can heal, but can also take things away. So, following this next two pieces from the Iberian Peninsula, Sila Mar era di leche, Mia hermana Fremosa, followed by Sila Mar era di leche, Sephardic Jewish piece. Finally going into the Sephardic Jewish piece, Selamare Radileche.
have time for one more or two. One. So, there's an experience that I will wait for another day to share. One of the most powerful musical and spiritual experiences I've had of experiencing prayer in a shrine in the desert in Pakistan. So we won't have time for that today. We'll end with a qawwali that I think is very much in the spirit of Sri Ramakrishna's love for the Divine Mother and of our love for Sri Ramakrishna and all of our teachers. There's such beautiful experiences that he shares of going into ecstasy with love of the Mother and seeing and experiencing that Mother's love in everything around him, to the point where he starts to throw flowers lovingly upon everything he sees, rocks, trees, stones. And this qawwali is in that spirit, Khwaja ki Divani, my master, I have gone mad in love. And of course, for us, it is also a way to appreciate our guides and our teachers, Nabi, as we say in Arabic. So this is based on a qawwali by the Sabri brothers, but a modern musician has added Arabic verses to it. And we hope that you will sing with us for the chorus, Khwaja ki Divani, I am mad in love for my master. Vasali Allah Din Habibi Jad Hasana Rasuli Mahdan Wujudi Mamul Haram Navina Khairu man yamshi khadamai Ya Ashki Ya Ashki Sallallahu ala Sayyidil Sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sahbihi Ya Nabi Sallallahu alayhi wa Sahabi Ya Nabi Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ala So Allah Ya Rasuli, Ya Habibi, Ya Maladi, Ya Bashiri, Ya Nabi, 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 Ya Nabi. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ala sahabihi. Sallallahu alayhi. संसार के सुंदर नगरी में वलियां का राजा रहते हैं। उस देश की सजदा क्या है ये जिस देश में ख्वाजा रहते हैं। ख्वाजा का नाम निकले जो मेरी ज़बान से आंगन में फूल गिरने लगी आसमान से। ये निश्शब्द से ख्वाजा का नाम ध्यान में। कितनी खुशबू मेरे मकान में है। सखी नगर नगर सखी डगर डगर में तो इश्क की आग लगा के चले। मोर खेश गयो मोर भेष गयो तो इश्क की आग में पूरी जली। कल मन के मुबूत को मन से मिली तो बाकी पूरी हाथ जली। ये तो रूप स्वरूप दिखाती चली और ख्वाजा की धुन में गाती चली कि मैं दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी कि मैं दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की तो दीवानी मैं ख्वाजा की दीवानी दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी
ख्वाजा की
संसार हरि को पूजे
संसार हरि को पूजे
गुरु को जगत सराये
गुरु को जगत सराये।
मक्के में कोई ढूंढे काशी में कोई चाहे
मक्के में कोई ढूंढे काशी में कोई चाहे।
गोया में अपने पी के पया पर गाए
गोया में कोई पी के पया पर गाए।
हर किबला हर कौम मिलना तेरा दिल वकील लगा है। तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की ख्वाजा की दीवानी। मेरे दीवानगी पर ये होश वाले बहस फरमाए, मगर पहले उन्हें दीवाना बनने की जरूरत है। जहां वो है वहां दिल है, जहां दिल है वहां सब कुछ, मगर पहले मुकाम दिल समझने की जरूरत है। मुस्लिम कहते हैं मस्जिद में आ, और हिंदू कहते हैं मंदिर अच्छा, सिखों का यह दावा है गुरुद्वारा अच्छा, और ईसाई कहते हैं गिरजाघर में आ। काबा कलीसा गुरुद्वारा गंगा, काबा कलीसा गुरुद्वारा गंगा। इंसान जमेलों से मुझ मतलब क्या कि मैं दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी। दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं दीवानी मैं दीवानी मैं दीवानी मैं दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी, ख्वाजा की दीवानी, हाँ ख्वाजा दीवानी ख्वाजा दीवानी ख्वाजा दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी दीवानी दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी दीवानी दीवानी, ख्वाजा की दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी। ख्वाजा के दीवानी ख्वाजा की ख्वाजा की ख्वाजा की दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी 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 दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की दीवानी, मैं तो दीवानी ख्वाजा की ख्वाजा की ख्वाजा की Special thank you to all of the musicians who are joining me today. Ashutosh Verma on tabla, Prajan Divakar on violin, my wife, Dr. Turiya Nair, on vocal, and of course our very special guest for today, Dr. Julia David Coelho, sharing such beautiful pieces with us. Thank you so much, Mataji, and to the whole community for welcoming us in this space and sharing this time to celebrate Ramakrishna's teachings and spirit of pluralism. Shanti or Arti? No, Arti. And we'll do Arti together.